Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel for another video. I'm Cassie. Today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Simon Hurley Create release. There are 3 new products. They're so cute. I'm going to be using a couple in the video today to make a card. We're going to be using this brand new Skating By. It's a smaller stamp set, but look at how cute the little images are. It's perfect for not only the holidays, but also just for winter in general, because you also have not only warm wishes and happy holidays, but you do have Let It Snow, Sending Christmas Cheer, Skating By to Say Hi, Bear Hugs. Those are all great because you have 3 images that aren't holding any presents and 2 that are. So this is a good just winter stamp set all around. And then there are matching dies to go along with all of the images. So really cute. It says Warm Wishes, Happy Holidays, Skating By to Say Hi, Burr, Bear Hugs, Sending Christmas Cheer, Let It Snow, and I Come Bearing Gifts. And then we're going to pair it up with this brand new stencil. I love Snowflakes, because obviously they're great for all winter long. And this one is called Dazzling Snowflakes. We're going to pair it up with the Astro paste called Unicorn Horn that gives you a bit of a blue tint to it. It's more of a cool color. Astro paste looks white in there, and if you just put it on white cardstock, so if you haven't seen these before, let me pull out my swatch book. Okay, so if you haven't seen it before, this is what it looks like on white paper. I don't know if you can see that shimmer in there. It's got a bit of a blue hint to it, and then the unicorn horn has a bit of a like warmer colors to it. And then this is what it looks like on darker paper. So Phoenix Feathers, Unicorn Horn. I mean, Phoenix Feathers, I think I messed those up. No, that's right. Yeah, Phoenix Feathers has more of a warm tone. Unicorn Horn has more of a cool tone, and then this is what it looks like on dark cardstock. But it also looks really good over the tops of some of your colored inks. So we're going to do that with it. So we'll use these in just a minute, but before we get to that, this one is called Ethereal Trees, and it's got 2 tree clear stamps, and then it has 2 stencils to go along with it. Oops, I guess I can put this back. And the stencils go over the top of your, to put either leaves on there, on either one of these, or, and you could do both, I suppose, or little dots. And so if you look at the back, you can do something fun with the leaves, and then you could also just do something, make it look a little bit more wintry, like berries or something. So I think that's really a neat concept. I did make a card with this one. I wanted to show you. I made this card. I did pair it up with our Skating By stamp set, the Warm Wishes, but I made a fall type scene, and I used oranges and reds, and then I used our Phoenix Feathers over the top of those colors, so it gives it more of a warm tone to it. But that is the card that I used that I made using the Ethereal Trees. I think this one is super pretty. So, again, this one has longevity for fall, winter, even summer. You could do something really pretty with these. So I like stamps that you can do that with. So there's that. All right, so let's get into making a card with this one. And we're going to get started with our background first, but I think I want to use this bear because he's nice and big and he's really cute. You could make some really cute scenes with all of them skating if you wanted, or maybe make a little line of them, or even just maybe just use the snowman. But lots of good sentiments for all through winter. Let's get our background going first, because I'm going to need it to dry a little bit. And this is just how I always do my stamps and stencils, by just cutting off the top part. It just makes it easier for me. So we'll pull that out. I have a piece of, oops, boy, I'm just throwing stuff all over. I've got a piece of Simon Hurley Create Stark White cardstock. It's a little bit sturdier cardstock, but it works really well with blending. And so we are going to, I want to use the combination of all 4. I just thought these are really pretty together. So we're going to use all 4 of these together. And we're going to do an ombre background. And then we're going to put the snowflakes on there, but let's get started with one at a time. All right, so I've got my two colors that I'm going to start with because we're going to do an ombre. We've got High Tide and Iced Out. And we're going to just try and break this up into fourths, basically. I might have the Iced Out go up a little bit further than I normally would, just because it's the lighter one, and I think I want the darker one to have a little less space at the top. All right, now some High Tide. One thing I've noticed with these ink pads that I really, really like is that I would highly recommend getting the re-inkers for them. Now, I use them as my primary ink pads. Those are the ones I use for like all my colors mostly. But I've found that the ones that I originally got, I've had to re-ink just because the type of pad that it is, and it stays nice, and to keep it nice and vibrant, I just highly suggest that you get the re-inkers because I think you're going to need them if you stamp as much as I do. So, all right, I'm going to go a little bit further up with this. And then we'll bring in some Tropical Tango. All right, we're getting a good blend in there. I like that. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, and then we'll be done with High Tide. And then we'll bring in Loch Ness, which is definitely much darker, so I'm going to kind of sparing at the top here with it because I don't want it to overtake the whole piece. I may bring it around the edges. Actually, I think I will bring it around the edges. Okay, before I go too crazy, I'm going to bring in a little bit more of this. All right. And in order to get a good blend, it's good to start off of your, like I'm using a glass mat, so I start off of that and start blending and then bring it onto my paper. Ooh, I like how that looks. All right, and then what I want to do, okay, we'll just kind of blend that in. Whew, that looks good. Okay, so what I want to do is I'm going to use the Loch Ness. Let me clean off. We're done with that. Just going to clean this off a little bit because I want to use my magnets to and then we're going to lightly blend it on through there. I don't want it to be too crazy dark, but we're gonna, and we can move our magnets around as we need to. And remember, it might seem like, oh, that's not very dark, but you can't really tell until you pull back your stencil, so keep that in mind. So let me just pull this back a tiny bit and you can see what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Okay. I like that a lot. And it's really subtle at the top simply because we have that darker color up there. Let's see how that looks. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, so now I want to bring in the Astro paste, the unicorn horn. I think that's just going to add a bit of sparkle and shine. Just a little. Okay. Okay. I really like these pastes. Okay, so I want to make sure I get a good amount because whatever or not too good of an amount, but whatever I get and put on here, because I didn't clean off my stencil in between, I'm not going to be able to put back into my my pot because it will be contaminated with color. So just trying to make sure I don't get too much of that contaminated, oops, going on here. Okay, and then I just kind of drag that color down. And I want it to be fairly thin because I'm obviously working, not a live video, but I don't have all day to let it dry. So yeah, see, look at, it's tinted. I can't use that on anything else. So we'll just scrape that across the bottom. And then we're going to go and clean our mess up. So power of editing, I will be back. All right, now before I left, I did spritz a little bit of water on what was wet here because I did have the paste on there. And because this is a glass mat, it will come off, you know, maybe with a little bit of scraping or whatever, but I didn't want to have to do too much work, so I sprayed it with water and let that sit while I was cleaning up my mess. And then I'll just bring in a microfiber towel to clean off the water and dry off my stencil. But you don't want to let that stuff sit. I know that's probably nothing new to most of you. If you do, it will dry, and it's, I mean, it is like glue. It's not coming off. But I did a pretty good job. We're all good to go. And take a look at how pretty that background is. Now it's going to dry back a little bit. Well, quite a bit actually, because it's more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like right now it looks white, but it's going to dry clear-ish, and it's going to have that little bit of blue tint to it. So love that. So while this is drying, I'm going to work on stamping out my little bear. We'll let that dry. Okay. Ooh, I really love those colors. My goodness. Those 4 colors together are just stunning. The Iced Out, High Tide, Tropical Tango, and Loch Ness. Ugh, love them so much. It's probably going to end up being one of my like go-to combinations, to be honest with you, because it's just so beautiful. Oof. All right. So let's pull this out. I'm going to stamp out our little bear. And we're going to use Black Widow. I think I'm going to watercolor him because, oops. So I have not only the stark white cardstock, but I also have the watercolor cardstock, which is pretty nice if you haven't tried it yet. Let's see. Yeah, he'll fit on that one, I think. So we're going to use, I have scraps of it. We'll use that. Let's make sure he's going to, yeah, he'll fit fine. And so I'm not going to use the Black Widow because this is actually good for watercolor. And because it's good for watercolor, it means I can use it to watercolor. And if I stamp with it, then I can drag that color out. And I don't want to do that. But this stuff is also really good for alcohol marker coloring. This is now my go-to for any sort of alcohol marker coloring. So let's go ahead and use the Archival Black. That will just make it waterproof. Okay. All right, cute, perfect. All right. So now that's good for watercolor. Alrighty, so like I said, we're going to watercolor him. I've pulled out a few colors that we're going to use. I'm going to use some shady, and we're using it very, very lightly, like I'm very watered down, just to give our little polar bear a little bit of color. You could also color him brown, that would be cute too, but I want to make him a polar bear. And then we've got some Prom Queen, some Stupid Cupid, and some Tropical Tango just for the presents, because I wanted to go with like a pink turquoise theme. I thought that would be kind of fun. So I'm using my glass mat, and then I'm going to bring in my watercolor brush, and we'll end up dragging that color out, but it's such a fun way to do it. Okay, so it's very, I mean, subtle, but there we go. Wipe off my brush in between. I think I'm going to go ahead and do his shoes. We're going to do those with some Black Widow. Don't need a lot of that, but his ice skates. Try not to use too much water. And because I didn't heat emboss my black outline, I have to be a little bit careful about if the color touches some of the other areas that I don't want it to touch, because then it'll bleed into each other, kind of like it's doing right here. If you, by embossing your image, it ends up giving it more of a, like a well, and so then you don't have as many issues with bleed. So, all right. That shoe is very light. So we'll just add a little more color. Okay. Now we're going to bring in some Prom Queen, Stupid Cupid, and some Tropical Tango. There we go. Nice and die cut out. Super cute. Throw that extra away. I'll throw dye away. Okay, so there he is, all die cut out. Super cute. Love how he turned out. And now we're ready to start building the rest of the card. So let's take a look. This is just about dry. You can see how that's starting to dry back, and you can start to see the Loch Ness under there a little bit more. So let's hit that with our heat tool a little bit and get that to dry even more. Okay, that stuff is gorgeous on there. Take a look. The shine in there. Oh, so pretty. Okay, so we have that beautiful ombre. I'm going to bring in card base. All right, now in my stash of things, I have random circles. I have, so these just came from within my stash. This one has some stitching around the edge. This one's just plain white. I'm going to use this one for our bear, and then this one's going to be for our sentiment, I think. So the sentiment I want to use is Sending Christmas Cheer. So let's get that inked up. All right, there we go, nice and stamped. And then we may just do Happy Holidays on the inside, because why not? So we can tie the outside to the inside a little bit. There we go. And then I may just stamp him on this side before I've attached anything down. And let's do him in Tropical Tango. Probably be really cute in the Prom Queen, though. I went a little overboard with that ink. Oh, he's so cute. All right, let's piece this together. Okay, so we're going to glue this on first. Oh my gosh, I just love this color combination. Just a big, big fan. Okay, so I may have this come off a little bit, and then we'll have that popped up. Let's do that. I'm going to trim a little off. And then we'll just glue it down. Okay, and this one I'm going to end up putting some foam tape on the back. And I think I don't necessarily want this looking like he's just hanging out there, so I'm going to bring in a Copic or a alcohol marker. I'm just going to add a little underneath so that it looks like he's not just floating. All right. So there's our little card for today. This one turned out really cute. Love that background. And of course that uses all, or some of the new stuff. So it uses our brand new Skating By with your matching dies. It also uses our Dazzling Snowflakes, which really are dazzling because they're so pretty. And then we also, don't forget, had these two using the Ethereal tree. So there you go. I'd love to know what you think. If you have a product here that you see that you're like, I really like that, or if there's a card you really like, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Leave that down in the comment section down below. Thank you so much. If you like this video, hit that like button. Definitely subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye, everybody.